Hey friends, it's Misa with Laser Designs by Misa, and I've been asked a couple of times to convert these scored state ornaments and magnet designs into engraved. And so right now, as it stands, what they are just single vector lines. You can see I can pull this. It's just a line here. So it's just like a cut line, except we're setting our lasers to a reduced power so that it just marks the wood instead of cutting all the way through. While the red is a similar line, except we're going to set that to a higher power and it's going to cut the shape out entirely. Now if we move over here to the words, these are also set to score, but because it's a font, if you will, it's actually just a very thin outline of the letter. So there is a kind of a double offset pass here, and so they are set to kind of a medium power, if you will, or just even a lesser power than the regular score, because they're going to double over themselves and burn away more material that way. So what we're going to do is edit this file, which somebody asked me to do. We're going to edit this file so that what will happen is all the blue will engrave and the red will cut. And so I just thought, since I was going to do it anyway, I would do a little video and show you my process in Adobe Illustrator. So it does sometimes take a little tweaking, especially because it was designed for scoring. Translating it just directly over to engrave may work fine, or in little places like this it may get a little tricky. So we're going to see what it does. So I'm going to start with this forget-me-not here. So the first thing I'm going to do is ungroup the red cut line from the blue and yellow score lines. So I'm going to go over here. Let's move that down. I'm going to go over here to ungroup. Okay, and then I'm going to see what it detached from. Looks like I'm going to ungroup again. There are lots of little objects here to... Oh, I think I'm probably ungrouping from all of the objects. Let's see. There we go. Now, right now, as you can see, I just have the blue. And so what I'm going to do here, there's a couple ways to do it. I could offset the score line, or I could move the stroke weight up, and I'm going to try that first. So right now you can see that my stroke weight is set to 1, and I'm going to move it up to 2 and see what that looks like. Okay, it doesn't look half bad. I'm going to go ahead and select it again and see what 1.5 would look like. I like that a little bit better. I can see a little bit more detail in these shapes here than I did at 2. So I'm going to try 7.5 here and see how I like that. All right, not too bad. I might have liked 5 best. So the trick is getting it so that it is thick enough to look good in the engrave, but not so thin that it doesn't show up great on the raster. Now again, the scoring, the laser follows the path and just makes the mark, while with the engrave raster, your laser is just going to move back and forth like an inkjet printer and spit out laser beam back and forth instead of ink every time it reaches over this pattern. Okay, I'm going to split the difference at 1.6. Okay, you notice I'm not moving up the stroke weight on the cut line, just the blue engrave, and I think that I like that. Now I'm also going to move my stroke up here on my letters, maybe 0.25. All right, so that just fills in nicely any little gaps that were there. And so the next thing I'm going to do is select my yellow, select my blue, and I'm going to go, no, I lied. I'm just going to do the blue first. Okay, I'm going to select the blue, object, expand, fill and stroke. Okay. All right. So now what happened is it, instead of having a cut path down the middle of this line, it now moved the cut path, the edge of the vector, onto both sides of the path. And instead of these being a single line, they are now a filled shape. You can see here's the end of them, like you would even imagine your letters when you're converting fonts to vector shape. All right, so now this whole shape will score. All right, and so I'm going to, just like a font, I'm going to use the Pathfinder function and click Unite. And so now all of this is one cohesive filled vector shape. And I'm even going to set this to black, right? So this will engrave now, just like that. So now we'll go to the Alaska, and again, object, expand. Okay. And so now here, look, we've got this nice vector shape. But I notice here that it got a little wonky. So I'm going to come over and use the direct selection tool, and that will show me all these little endpoint nodes. And so if I've got one misbehaving up here, I'm going to hit the minus, or you can come over here to the delete anchor point tool. I just use the minus, and then click on it. And any extra anchor points I do not want, I can delete very easily. So I'm just going to scan this really quick. Seems like that was the only one. Okay, back to the selection tool. Now we've got some overlap here, so I'm still going to drag and drop through all of them. Come over to the Pathfinder, click Unite, and that makes it so we've got no unwelded text going on here. Now I can also change this to black, because now when this uploads to my laser user interface, the black will be for all engraving, the red will be for cut, and we're ready to go. All right, so I'm going to move on to this one. Ungroup. It's a little bit more delicate of a design, so I'm just kind of wondering if we're going to have to do anything. So again, I kind of ungroup until I get to this blue shape here. And I think I did 1.6. So that's not too bad. I don't think that's too bad at all. And this one I think I just did 1.25. Is that what I did? Looks like that's what I did. Again, same process. Now that I've decided what stroke weight I'd like to expand this to, I selected the blue, object, object. Where are you? Expand. Okay. Now with it still selected, you can see all these weird overlapping shapes. We want to get rid of that. Right now it's all just clean, one shape. Okay, and then same with Alaska. I'm going to go ahead and, oops, I got to go object, expand, okay. And then to get rid of these overlaps, I'm going to Pathfinder, Unite. Oh, and then got to get this weird little point here. So again, delete anchor point tool, or just the minus for the keyboard shortcut. Get rid of some extra anchor points, clean that up so you don't have this extra little weird point on your Alaska. All right. And so then I could go back and do my grouping here, change all of this to black. Oh, silly me. What did I do here? It's got a different fill. I welded it. Okay, so getting my fill right, and then no stroke here. Yeah, that looks about the same. Cool. See, for some reason here it added a stroke and fill. So I'm going to go black for this, for the fill, no stroke, and I'm going to double check that that matches here, and it does. So go ahead and make sure. For some reason it defaulted to adding that different fill and the different stroke color. So again, for engraves, I just like to make sure that I've got a fill of the color of your preference. I default to black, and then no stroke. And then any cut lines, you've got your stroke color to your preference. I'm choosing red here. Your stroke weight, depending on your laser, you may need to have a hairline, but most of them operate fine at just one point stroke weight and no fill here. So then I can go back and Command G for grouping these guys, or come over here and click group, and I'll go ahead in my own time do these others here, but you can see these will score, these will engrave, and that's how you switch up these scored state files to engrave files. Hope that was helpful.